What's up, guys? It's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity Build It video, and today we are going to talk about Reddit, the lovely website that I cannot stand. And we're going to talk about why I hate this fucking website. So, there's a lot of bad advice out on this game. I'm going to tell you that right now. And there's a lot of random people that do YouTube videos on the game. There's a couple popular ones that you also have to, first off, you have to look at the date those videos were posted. If they were posted several years ago, you need to take into consideration how many things about the game that have changed. Then look at the person in whom you're taking advice from. Look at what they've accomplished, what their city looks like, what's their storage, how well are they doing. If they're starting their video off with, this is a really hard thing to do, then you know that that's probably not going to be very good advice. Because essentially, the whole point of the video is to make things easier, right? So many of you level up too fast. And in fact, unless you research the game before leveling up and before playing, then 99.9% of you are going to have to restart. Okay, that's just a given. Now, if you're somebody who's been playing for years and you have comm buildings, as I've said this in many of my videos, you guys are not going to want to restart because you want those buildings, right? So first off, let's talk about kind of like what happened with the game and why it is the way that it is. So why is it that we're seeing such stupid ass buildings, right? Like they're not cool, they're not large, they're tiny, they have little to no detail. They're terrible. And why? Why has the game went from having really cool buildings and being really fun to being expensive, costing lots of money, and being a cash grab? What changed? Well, I can tell you one thing. Everybody leveled too quick. And the game developers, they want you to spend money, first off. Now, if they were on top of their shit, they would realize, hey, the best way to get people to spend money is to keep them playing the game, right? So instead of keeping you playing the game as a happy or how to explain this, as somebody who is you're getting positive feedback from your game, you're enjoying it, right? A lot of players have quit playing because it's not enjoyable anymore. They've made it unenjoyable, and they've made it too difficult for the higher level players to get anywhere. The ones that fucked up their city are having a really hard time getting out of it because it's so impossible after you hit a certain threshold in the game. Even once you max your storage and dozer out, the game is impossible because what ends up happening is this. Feeders fix your city, right? As far as rares go. But once you're a high-level player with max storage and max dozer, and you've maxed out your regional maps with dozer and things like that, what do you do as far as the game? Like, what is there for you to do? How do you play? What keeps you interested in playing? Well, typically you're working on epic projects, you're working on making money, you're doing the contest of mayors, you're playing war, you're finding things to utilize and entertain yourself with, utilize your time. Now, what happens is, once people meet the storage and dozer requirements, they don't know what to do anymore because the game, for the people that leveled up really quickly, has been so focused on chasing those rares because they keep adding more and more of what you need. So for the people that maxed out their land, they were just selling off all their dozer. Then they come out with regionals. Now they're like, well, shit, I just sold hell of dozer. So now they're collecting dozer again, right? 5 maps, yeah, that's a lot, but you got to level up to unlock them all. So the point is, the game developers have kept the people constantly needing to upgrade their storage, constantly needing to upgrade their land. And so when you do the Missy's Building Guide, I broke it down to build when I made the building guide, I sat down and I went, okay, I made this, and this mistake, and it ended with this really bad result. I can't restart because I have all these really badass buildings. But if I was to restart, what would I do differently? And then I sat down with the leveling guide, and I said, okay, this is what I would do differently based on all of these things considered. I considered every possible thing. Now, what most people have done is they went, okay, I leveled up too quick. Storage was a pain in the ass to get. I couldn't find any rares, so I restarted a feeder city. I kept it low level, and I farmed rares. And that is all the thought they put into it. That's it, right? They didn't take into consideration all kinds of other things, all the other ways that you can obtain rares, all the other things that you need to have a good city. Like, let's say you want a badass city that looks really cool and you want to have cool buildings. The game developers aren't focusing on making cool buildings. They're not focusing on that at all. All they're focusing on is getting more money from the passes, and the passes are full of garbage. Like, oh, 5 of each VU, 5 of each storage. Well, whoop-de-fucking-do, okay? So what? So as a low-level player, you obtain all these rares, right? And you get to max storage, like CPT. He's at max storage. He's at max dozer, right? Well, he's almost to max storage. So once he gets to that point, storage is going to be of no use to him. So what he'll have to do is he'll be able to trade it, and be able to trade it for dozer that he needs. Then he'll be able to trade that well, when he gets regionals, I mean. Then he'll be able to trade dozer and storage for VU, so that he can take the VU to turn them into gold keys so he can buy cool buildings. But there is no cool buildings anymore, right? So that's the whole point. The game developers stopped putting effort into the designing aspects of this game. The game went from being a cool city builder. When you sat down one day and you saw this game on Google Play or the Apple Store, what made you download it? Well, because it's a city builder. You looked at it, you went, wow, that's really cool. I want to make a map. I want to make a cool city. But then as you started playing, you got sucked in to this trance of hunting rares and making the same items every day, to be broke, to make more items, to be broke, to hunt more rares, to get somewhere. And to finally, after years and years and years of hunting and paying, you finally get to max storage and dozer, and then you have nothing to do because you forgot why you started playing in the first place. How many of you sat down, and when was the last time any of you sat down and went, you know what, I'm going to take the next few days just to build my city, just to take all of this stuff that I've worked so hard to get. You know, I worked so hard to unlock my map. Why? I worked so hard to get all these storage spaces. Why do you need all that storage? To hunt for storage, to do comm, to get storage, to earn storage? Like, no. You needed all the storage to hold items so that you could complete things like the Contest of Mayors, so that you could do things like epic projects, right? That's the whole point. But if your only point in doing that is to win the storage, and that's the only thing you're playing for, then you're going to be very, very bored once you finish that. So I used to get asked all the fucking time, what keeps you playing this game, Missy? You've already maxed everything out. And they'd say, well, your max storage, your max dozer, you know, you've got everything done. What keeps you playing? And I'm like, what do you mean? I have so much to do. And they're like, well, how? And it's like, okay, for example, designing. I want a really badass city, right? I want something to be proud of. And as the game goes on, as they put out Contest of Mayors passes and things, I know that more buildings are going to keep coming out. Now, if they were to put out cool shit, I could be like, damn, dude, I really want to do this theme on this map. And I really want to do that theme on this map. And then as time goes on, more things come out. And then I get more ideas and I rotate things around. And I get enjoyment out of designing. That's all I like to do is design, really, honestly. Like, I broke down the dynamics of the game. Yes, I'm a pro on every level of this fucking game. But what I really enjoy about the game is the beauty of what it could be, what the potential that it has, right? I've never wanted to hack a city. That doesn't interest me, because hacking a city, it requires no thought, no effort, no nothing. It's simply for designing only. Now, if I was ever to hack any kind of a city, I would do it for the purpose of designing a badass map. And I would just sit there for days and weeks on end. And I could just, and I've never done this, but this is what I want to do. I want to have a hacked city on a computer where I have people join my group that if they have their the fundamentals of their city built up, and they can come to me and they can say, Missy, these are my ideas. This is what I like. And I can draw them up something and go, okay. And I can build this badass city on a hacked account so that obviously I can just keep trying different things and then just take screenshots and of all these really cool city ideas and then just have like badass videos that just go through and show everything that I've made on, you know, the shit I can make on some of these maps, dude, like the Sunny map. That one's going to be a water world for my map. I'm going to have deltas that are on each side, right? Or like right on the beach. And I'm just going to have it. It's just going to be like it's going to be like a flood, dude. But it's going to look really badass. It's going to have islands. It's going to have floating stuff. It's going to be crazy. But I'm limited to the type of buildings that I can display because the game isn't putting anything cool out. And for the new players, it really sucks because you guys aren't going to have anything cool to put in your city because the game developers have completely lost all interest in that. So when I see things like this Reddit post, I like, what the hell is going wrong with everybody? Why would they even think that this is a good idea? And so now I see somebody had sent this to me, okay? And I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, yeah, and people are actually doing it too. Like a lot of people are taking this guy's advice and doing this. And I'm going to read to you what this says and why you should not take advice off Reddit. And this is just one of the many examples of what gets said. Now, you need to remember anytime that you go to a website like Reddit, Blue Light, which is for opiate addicts, you are essentially, people think that since it's been put out on the internet that it's true, okay? First things first, anytime that you're on a site where anybody can say whatever they want, note that it is not fact. That is simply an opinion. Anybody could say whatever they want to say on that website. I cannot tell you how many times I have been on Blue Light, which I don't know if a lot of you know what that is, but that's like a website for opiate addicts. And I have seen somebody tell somebody, you can take 200 milligrams of morphine first time user, go right ahead. Better yet, put it in your ass and plunge it and then really die. Like, I'm no joke, dude, I'm serious. And people do that stuff and they don't understand body absorbance. They don't understand bioavailability. They don't understand any of it. And they're taking advice on levels, high level narcotics from dropout idiots that can't even much less spell or even know what they're talking about on the amount of opiates they should take as a first-time user. That is the type of shit that is on Reddit when it comes to this game, okay? This person says the first strategy is that you work around every residential upgrade task. Upgrading residential is the only way to level up in this game. So as long as you don't upgrade any residentials, you won't level up and stay on the same level. Working around every residential upgrade task is not that easy and can reduce the average points in a contest because sometimes you need to cancel these tasks to keep getting high tasks. But it is possible. I did that for a very long time to collect as much sim cash and plat keys as possible before I started leveling. Here you can see all of my level 17 comm results, okay? Then he goes in to say, and mind you, as a level 17 player, you're not in a group, right? And honestly, the competition from level 17 to 18 for what you're missing out on that's why he's having such a hard time. Because if you're cutting out all residential upgrades, and now you're cutting out all war tasks too because you're level 17. Now you've cut out production tasks as well because you're at level 17. You don't have donuts unlocked, so you have very minimal amounts of coins. You have no group chest. You have no group members to help you. You aren't making as much money as you normally would be. You're unable to do all your war tasks, which really do account for, and especially during the time that this was written, accounted for a lot of them. Like I can think of like 6 war tasks already off the top of my head that he does not have access to. Then you add in some of these production tasks that take like 30 fucking hours, dude. How are you going to do that with no tokens as a level 17 player? Now, Flights, airport, you know, you got to unlock that as well. So there's certain things that you really do need to unlock, and you have to take into consideration everything whenever you decide to make the choice to level up. And that's what I did. And that's what I did with the Contest to Mayor's Guide. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it is possible to run a 2K average as a level 18 player without doing upgrades. Okay? It's not easy, but it is possible. It's easier to run a 2K average as a level 20 player while not doing upgrade tasks. I have several people in my group each week that never do upgrade tasks. They run over a 2K average and they win Mega every single week, and they do not have to use this method. The next method, this is the part where he really lost me, okay? He says, I hope it was understandable that this is not fake plat keys and tokens on low city level, is just a strategy, right? So the second strategy is, this is where I'm like, oh my God, I hope people don't do this. Okay. He says, the second strategy is to bulldoze most of the residentials because this will trigger to give you extremely low experience. So what he's saying is that if you bulldoze your residentials, that you're going to get lower experience upgrades because you've bulldozed them. Okay? So with each further upgrade you do, 1 to 5 experience, so 1 to 5 experience for each further upgrade, but it only stays this way if you bulldoze every new residential that you build. With this strategy, you can literally do every upgrade residential task, but level up your city extremely slow. This is almost like camping because you can play for multiple seasons before you level up. Okay, so let's talk about all the ways this is stupid. Okay, first off, when you do that, what are you doing with your population and your items? You're throwing them in the garbage, right? That's first thing. But let's say that you actually had a decent amount of items, right? And you had what I'm trying to say is, okay, so like at your level, when you guys do an upgrade, sometimes the cost of the upgrade does not exceed the amount in which you get in return. So it's still beneficial. However, you are still leveling up, right? So that being said, you can only do so many upgrade tasks at that point before you level up. And if you want to camp, that's still problematic to you, right? Okay, so that being said, now you've leveled up. Now you're not camping, except for now you have no residentials. You've wasted all these items and you have nothing to convert your epics to. Every residential that you bulldoze, that could have been an epic project later on. And now what's going to end up happening is you're going to be a level 24 and you're not going to have any homes to convert to epics. And you're going to have to level up in order to convert those homes to epics, which means the epics are going to cost you 10 times the amount. You're not going to be able to really design a cool city. You might not even be able to boost your pop high enough to unlock Tokyo if you do this. It depends on when you start this bullshit, right? So take into consideration, you also want to look at my my upgrading video that I put out yesterday, because I talk about what you need to unlock certain aspects of the game. If you don't have 10 London or 10 Paris or whatever, there's a lot of buildings you cannot purchase. So this is the stupidest thing that you could ever do, is to bulldoze your residentials, to utilize upgrade tasks, to inevitably end up leveling up anyways. Why would you do that if you can run over a 2K average each week and still win the Contest of Mayors each week? Why would you do that? Especially when you also want to take into consideration that you are not going to be canceling all these residential upgrades like he's talking about. The only time you're canceling residential upgrades really is if they're 3,000 points and they're taking up 2 points values in your list, or it's very early on in the game. Because you can have multiple upgrade tasks at a time, right? You want to make sure that you're not canceling those, because they will just come back. But when they come back, you want them to be of a lower points value. If they're sitting at 3,000 points value, it's going to hurt your score because you can only have so many 3K tasks at any one time. up until this week of the contest when everybody started with like 6 or 7 of them. Now, that brings me to my next thing with this person's advice. And I'm going to pull it up right now. And that is, wow. And many of you probably saw this, okay? Right? Oh my God, dude, that's driving me nuts. Okay. Update craze contest back to normal. Now, until something comes from EA specifically, I have no idea who this guy is. I don't know who he is at all, right? But he's the same person that put this on Reddit, okay? I don't know the credibility of his statement, but based off what I just read, I know that I'm not going to take what he says very seriously. Now, I'm not saying that this person isn't intelligent in any way. So if whoever wrote this is watching this, I'm not dogging on your intelligence as a person to try to figure out what you're doing. What I'm saying is, I respect the fact that you took the step that most people don't even bother to take, and that is you looked into it and you tried to see what was beneficial and what was not, but you didn't take all things into consideration, and that's what I do. That is what sets me apart from all these other people that give advice on this game. I take every single possible thing into consideration, and I don't give advice to be factual unless I know it to be factual. And I always make statements like, unless the game changed, or it was like this, unless that, or this is the most beneficial because of this reason, and these 10 more reasons. Not, you want to do this because of that. Well, okay, what about this, and this? Oh, I didn't think about all that. Well, yeah, you should have, right? And if you weren't going to, you should have said, well, based off this, and this is the theory I came up with. So unless anybody has anything they'd like to add, or can think of any other reason why this wouldn't be the most beneficial route, then this is what I have come up with. There's many ways that you can give advice without poisoning the water hole, okay? So what he says here is he said, I saw a different post and pictures about players that the tasks in the contest are back to normal again. Now, what does this mean? I put up a video last night that many of you probably watched. And what happens is, during the contest of mayors, you have a downtime. Anytime you have a really good start, you're going to have a crappier end, right? So what ends up happening is you had a really good start. You were running a 3K average. Everybody started with a bunch of 3K tasks. Now the game starts giving you really shitty tasks. And now you're like, okay, it's all back to normal. No, that's not how it works, okay? You got to figure out, why was it like that to begin with? Was it a mistake from EA? Was it intentional? Was it only going to happen at the beginning? Is it possible to get multiple 3K tasks now? We don't know that until you go through and you get an answer directly from EA. And, or you have seen it for yourself with all of your tasks, then I would not say that to be factual. I haven't even put out anything that states this because I don't know yet. And I'm not going to state that and confuse everybody or say something if I don't know it to be true. So the way I see it is this. You guys are all supposed to be taking screenshots and sending them to me at the end of the week, right? When you do that, I'm going to analyze the pattern in which your assignments were given by many different aspects. Once I do that, if I see so-and-so had 4 3K tasks after the initial start, then I know that it's possible to get more than 2 at a time, and I know that it wasn't just a fucking fluke if it happens the next week, right? Now, until then, we really don't know what's going on. So when he says, I saw different posts and pictures about players that the tasks in the contest of mayors are back to normal again. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean they're back to normal. That just means that you're in a downtime. Please confirm if you still have high point tasks in your list. Just do them to maximize your average. But now they will be replaced with normal range tasks and points we are used to. They're actually being replaced to lower points, actually, because you're in a downtime. So you want to maximize, and this is a tongue twister, and I've said this in my last night's video, so if you did not get to that video, make sure you watch it. But listen to what I'm about to say. When this happens, you want, and my calm guide is still up on our Facebook page. You want to exchange out your higher non-premium tasks for lower non-premium tasks, so that when you get into that high time where the game starts giving you better tasks, that you get higher premiums. So I'm going to say it again. You're exchanging your higher non-premiums. Things like a 2,500 monster is a higher non-premium, in exchange for something like a 1,000 point monster, so that when you have better assignments given to you, that you get things like a 3K VU, not a 2,500 monster sitting there. Okay? That is what you want to do anytime you do a task for a really high points value and you get a crappy points value in return. And it happens multiple times. That means you're in a downtime. You're going to look at your average and you're going to go, okay, look, my average is well over 2,000 points. Typically, a downtime lasts about 5 to 8 tasks. And it usually tries to get you right around your 2K average, right before it starts to level out again. The game will always fluctuate and keep you at a balance, okay? Why is it that we all play the contest of mayors each week and we all have the opportunity to be successful? It's not based on luck. It's based off odds and choices, okay? And you can greatly impact your odds based on your choices. If you break down the dynamics of the game and you say, these are premiums, these are non-premiums, these tasks pop up in multiples, these tasks only pop up once. If I touch this task, I have a higher probability of getting 5 or 6 of this task, versus if I touch this task, I know that or if I don't touch this task, I know that I will not get this task repeatedly, and because it's a low points value, I want to leave it there. And I know that I can only have so many of these tasks be of a certain points value. You have to look at everything. You have to look at what league you're in. If you're in a lower league, you're not going to get higher point tasks. At least it wasn't that way until this week. I don't know if it changed. But before this week, you did not get 3,000 point tasks in Neighborhood League, for example, right? So you would be able to do those land expansion tasks for 2,000 points back to back repeatedly, get those things cleared up, because they're a higher points value in the lower leagues. They raise your average. But in the higher leagues, because they are only worth 2,000 points, they lower your average, okay? That's the kind of stuff I look for. So when I see stuff like this, when there's no proof to any of what's being said, being given out there, people repeat shit they hear. And when they repeat it, it doesn't come out in the first way it was given. I can tell you guys the same thing in a video 900 times, and many of you won't even realize what I'm saying, right? And I give a lot of information. So I totally understand missing one thing I say. But when I say it 15 times that the sky is blue, and then you go to the group that you're in and you're like, hey, did you see that new video from Missy where she was talking about the sky being pink? No. That's what I mean. Shit gets spread. And when it gets spread, it gets totally twisted. I went from saying somebody spent $2,700 on the game within 6 years, and somehow down the grapevine, it got twisted into this person spent $3,000 over 5 years. I mean, okay, yeah, I can see that, rounding it up. But then it went from that to like 6,000. And it's like, what? No one ever said that, dude. Like, really? Come on, man. And so you just take what you hear about the game very, very cautiously, and remember that just because somebody can retrieve information that you can get doesn't make them intelligent. This is the next thing I really wanted you guys to hear, okay? There's a lot of charts out there on this game. If you type in SimCity Build It production charts, SimCity Build It level up guides, SimCity Build It com guide, things like that, you're going to see tons of websites, fandom, and Facebook groups, and people, and things like that. And you're going to see all these homemade charts that people make, things like similar what I did. But there's one thing that stands my chart out and my guides from everybody else's, and that is I give you more than just the data that you can acquire on your own. I give you the answer to said data. This person hands you a chart, okay? So what I'm saying is, let's go to the